The private dining room at Meridian Restaurant buzzed with celebration. Mom's 60th birthday. 50 guests. Crystal chandeliers. A violinist in the corner. My sister Victoria had planned everything perfectly, right down to the seating chart that placed me at the far end of the family table. So, Sophia, Victoria's voice carried across the table, deliberately loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Still working retail? I looked up from my untouched pasta. Victoria sat beside Mom, wearing the Cartier necklace Dad had given her last Christmas. Her smile was sharp, practiced. I manage a store, yes. Manage. Victoria laughed, the sound like breaking glass. That's a generous word for folding clothes at the mall. Mom patted Victoria's hand, not quite meeting my eyes. Victoria just made partner at Henderson & Associates. Youngest in the firm's history. Congratulations, I said quietly. Meanwhile, Victoria continued, you dropped out of medical school after 1 year. What was it? Too hard. Couldn't handle the pressure. Dad shifted uncomfortably beside me but said nothing. He never did. It wasn't the right fit, I replied. Victoria leaned forward. You had a full scholarship to Stanford Medical. Do you know how embarrassing it was when people asked about my sister, the doctor, and I had to explain you were working retail instead? Aunt Linda joined in from across the table. Such a waste of potential. Your sister graduated summa cum laude. I did graduate, I said. Just took a different path. A path to nowhere. Victoria turned to Mom. Remember when she said she was going to change the world? Now she's asking people if they need their receipt in the bag. The table erupted in polite laughter. I felt Dad's hand briefly touch my shoulder, then withdraw. At least you're not living off the family anymore, Victoria added. That tiny apartment you rent, how much is it? $800 a month. Something like that. Pathetic. She sipped her wine. Mom, we should really talk about removing Sophia from the family trust documents. Why should someone who couldn't even finish medical school benefit from Dad's estate planning? Mom's expression flickered. Uncertainty, maybe guilt, but Victoria's confidence won out. We can discuss it later, dear. I stayed silent, cutting my food into smaller pieces I wouldn't eat. Around us, the party continued. Mom's colleagues from the university. Dad's golf buddies. Victoria's law firm partners. People who'd known me since I was 12, now avoiding eye contact. The waitress approached. Would anyone like dessert? Yes, Victoria announced. Bring the birthday cake. And make sure the sparklers are lit. I want everyone to see this. As the waitress left, Victoria pulled out her phone. I'm posting about tonight. Celebrating Mom with family. Well, most of the family contributed to making this special. She made sure I could see her typing. Should I tag you, Sophia? Or would that be embarrassing? Do what you want. That's your problem. You never wanted anything enough. Victoria's voice dropped lower, more venomous. Medical school was hard, so you quit. Real careers require actual work, so you settled for retail. You're a disappointment wrapped in excuses. The table had gone quiet now, everyone pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. Victoria, Dad finally said. That's enough. Enough. Victoria laughed. Dad, she's 31 years old, working at a mall, driving a 12-year-old Honda. When is it enough? When does she stop being a burden on this family's reputation? I placed my napkin on the table and started to stand. Maybe leaving would be easier. That's when the door to the private dining room opened. A tall man in an expensive suit entered, scanning the room. He was in his late 60s, silver hair immaculate, the kind of presence that commanded attention. Behind him, a younger woman with an iPad followed closely. He spotted me and his face brightened. There you are. The room went silent. He walked directly to our table, ignoring Victoria's confused expression, ignoring Mom's polite smile of greeting. He stopped beside my chair. Dr. Martinez, he said warmly. I'm so sorry to interrupt your family dinner, but this couldn't wait. I'm Richard Morrison, chair of St. Catherine's Hospital Board. My sister's fork actually clattered against her plate. We need your signature on the new cardiology wing donation, Morrison continued, pulling papers from his assistant's portfolio. The $12 million pledge. Construction starts next month and the contractors won't proceed without authorization from the primary donor. Victoria's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Morrison placed the documents in front of me. I know we discussed this last week, but legal insisted on hard copies. The Sofia Martinez Cardiovascular Center will be the most advanced facility on the West Coast. Your specifications for the catheterization labs alone are revolutionary. The Sofia Martinez. Mom whispered. I signed the documents quietly, aware of every eye in the room on me. Morrison's assistant spoke up. Dr. Martinez, we also need to confirm your schedule for the dedication ceremony. The governor's office called. She wants to present you with the State Medical Innovation Award personally. Governor. Dad's voice cracked. Oh, and Dr. Martinez? Morrison added. The medical school dean asked me to pass along congratulations on your cardiology fellowship completion. Johns Hopkins is fortunate to have had you. Though we're even more fortunate you chose to practice here. He smiled at my family. You must be so proud. Not many 31-year-olds can claim they're simultaneously one of the nation's top interventional cardiologists and a major hospital benefactor. The work Dr. Martinez did on minimally invasive valve replacement. Absolutely groundbreaking. Victoria's face had gone completely white. Morrison collected the signed papers. I'll let you return to your celebration. Oh, before I forget, the pharmaceutical company called about your patent royalties. The quarterly payment is $2.3 million this time. Should they wire it to your usual foundation account? Yes, thank you. Wonderful. Enjoy your evening. He nodded politely to the table and left. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom turned to me slowly. Sophia, you're a doctor? Interventional cardiologist, I said quietly. I finished medical school at Stanford, did my residency at Mass General and completed a fellowship at Johns Hopkins. I've been practicing here for 3 years. But you said. Victoria's voice was barely audible. You said you worked retail. I said I managed a store. I managed the hospital gift shop volunteer program. I never said it was my career. Dad's hand was shaking. The apartment. You said. I said I paid $800 a month. That's what I donate monthly to keep it affordable for the medical resident who actually lives there. I own a house in Rosewood Heights. Rosewood Heights. Aunt Linda gasped. Those homes start at $2 million. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table showing my hospital ID. Dr. Sofia Martinez, MD FACC. Department of Cardiology. Director of Interventional Services. The retail comments, I said looking at Victoria. You assumed. I never corrected you because I didn't think it mattered. Apparently it did. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Why didn't you tell us? I tried. You stopped inviting me to family dinners 5 years ago. Victoria told me I was too depressing to be around successful people. The last time I mentioned my work, Dad changed the subject because Victoria was announcing her first big case. But a $12 million donation. Dad whispered. The patent royalties Morrison mentioned. My medical device innovations earn between $8 to $10 million annually. The money goes to the hospital foundation. The cardiology wing is named after me because I'm funding it, but also because I'll be directing it. We're pioneering procedures that will save thousands of lives. Victoria finally found her voice. You let everyone think. I let you reveal who you really are, I said calmly. I wanted to see if any of you would value me without credentials. Turns out you only value me if I make you look good. The waitress returned with the birthday cake, sparklers lit, but no one moved to sing. Mom reached across the table. Sophia, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I should have asked. I finished. Been curious about my actual life instead of believing Victoria's narrative? Dad stood abruptly. Victoria, you owe your sister an apology. But Victoria was staring at her phone, face growing paler. Oh God. Oh no. What? Mom asked. I posted about tonight. About Sophia being a retail worker. It's been up for 45 minutes. Victoria's hands trembled. People from the hospital are commenting. Sophia's colleagues. They're tagging St. Catherine's official account. This is going to. My firm represents medical malpractice cases. If they see I publicly humiliated a cardiologist who saves lives while funding a hospital wing? I finished. Yes, that might be a problem for you. Victoria looked up at me and for the first time in years, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Sophia, please. Can you? I'll delete it. I'll post an apology. Please. I stood, gathering my purse. The post stays. People should know who you are. But my career. Your career will be fine, Victoria. You're talented, accomplished, and driven. But maybe this will teach you that people have value beyond what you can see on the surface. I turned to Mom. Happy birthday. The dinner's paid for. I own a stake in this restaurant, actually. The gift I ordered will be delivered tomorrow. It's a medical alert system for seniors, top of the line. Because despite everything, I do want you safe. Dad caught my arm as I passed. Sophia, please. Stay. We need to talk about this. We will, I said gently. But not tonight. Tonight was supposed to celebrate Mom, and Victoria made it about hierarchy and judgment. I'm not interested in being part of that pattern anymore. I paused at the door, looking back at the table. For what it's worth, I never stopped loving any of you. I just stopped needing your approval. There's a difference. As I walked out, I heard Mom start to cry, heard Dad's voice rise in anger at Victoria, heard Aunt Linda frantically Googling my name on her phone. My own phone buzzed. A text from Morrison. Hope that wasn't too dramatic. Your mom seemed nice. Lunch next week to discuss the pediatric expansion. I smiled and texted back. Perfect. And thank you. Outside, the valet brought my car around. Not the old Honda Victoria had mocked, but the Tesla I actually drove. As I pulled away from Meridian Restaurant, I could see through the window. Victoria was crying now. Mom was holding her, but watching the door I'd exited through. Dad stepped outside, phone to his ear, probably trying to call me. I let it ring. They'd call again. And eventually I'd answer. But tonight, I drove home to Rosewood Heights, to the house they'd never seen, to the life I'd built without their approval or acknowledgement. The Honda. I'd donated it to a medical student 2 years ago. The retail work story. I'd let them believe it because I wanted to see if they'd love me without the credentials. They hadn't. But now they would have to decide. Did they want me in their lives because of what I'd accomplished or because of who I was? I had a feeling I already knew the answer. And I had a feeling I was finally okay with it.